Welcome to Spontaneity 101. Just kidding, kind of. I was recording video 4 of Against the Grain series yesterday, and I was talking about being fully expressed and self-expression. And I was talking about my own personal story, which the short version is, as a child, I wasn't allowed to be fully expressed in the environment that I lived in with my parents and even my grandparents and even in other situations. So I grew up with this limiting belief that it wasn't safe to be fully expressed, and I carried that into adulthood. And I also talked about how spontaneity is actually very healthy for your emotional and mental health. And there was a little spontaneous dance party in the video to prove that. And to carry on with that theme, I created this video, or I am creating this video because I have been noticing I get the same questions from people who follow me, and I don't really have the time to respond to everybody's emails and DMs. And also, because my business is doing one-on-one coaching, I can't really give that same coaching over emails and DMs to people who are not clients, because it's not fair to my paying clients. So I had an idea. I was like, I'm going to do a YouTube video with like the top 5 to 10 most popular questions that I often get. And everybody's situation is different. So if I were doing one-on-one coaching with you and you had the same question, I could cater my answer specific to you and we could work through it, because everyone has their own situation and limiting beliefs. So this will be very general, but hopefully it helps. And if it is helpful, then drop a question in the comments and I'll keep doing more of these type of videos. But hopefully this is a good start just to get the traction going if you need somewhere to start. So, and all I did, I just copied and pasted a bunch of questions from my emails and DMs into a Word doc. So I'm just gonna start going through them. I don't know how long this is going to take, because again, this was very spontaneous and I've never done this before. So I'm just going to get right into it. So the first question is, how do I stop caring so much about what people think of me? And I love this question because, and it probably comes from the fact I talk all of the time of just stop giving a shit about what people think of you, because 99.9% of the time, it has nothing to do with you. Unless you said something or did something to someone to make them not like you or think negatively of you, it probably has nothing to do with you and has everything to do with them and their triggers and what's going on with them. And I even logically, when you know that, trust me, I know it's hard to just stop caring, especially in the society that we live in now with like social media, because like even I get a ton of negative comments on social media. And yeah, it stings in the moment, but I'm able to just move on with my day and not care about it. And the answer is long and complicated and very individualized, because, for example, with me, the reason I cared for so long is because I grew up with a very critical mom. Like, she would criticize my face or my hair or my appearance. And even as an adult, she was always criticizing my choices and how I was living my life. And especially when it's a family member, it's like you're just craving that acceptance and connection. So of course you care about what they think, but when that connection with that other person is costing you yourself, because for example, I felt like I had to be someone else or withhold information or be ashamed of who I was to maintain that connection with her. And that's not healthy, because I was not being fully expressed. So it's okay to care. You are a human being and we have feelings. So I'm not saying I don't care. And I know that comes across in my messaging that I really don't care. I do care, but I don't let it dictate my entire life. If someone doesn't like me, yeah, that stings a little, but I don't let it dictate my life. And the short answer, because again, everyone is individualized, this is a whole process, but the short answer, and this is a good first step, is start focusing on yourself. Do you like you? Are you happy with your life? Are you living in integrity with your values? Are you being the best version of yourself that you can be at any given time? Because over time, when you're focused on you and being a better person and improving yourself, you get so enwrapped in that you truly stop caring what other people think. Because when I do get criticisms, I honestly will stop to think, am I happy with who I am? Am I living in accordance to my values? Am I being the best person that I could possibly be? And if I can check off all of those with a resounding yes, then it doesn't matter what the other person thinks. And again, this can become tricky when it's family or someone close to you, but there is a way to live where you're not letting other people dictate if you're living fully expressed. And this is where boundaries come in because, for example, if you have a critical family member, you may have to set boundaries. You may have to tell them it's not okay to talk to me this way. And that's another thing. When you start having that kind of self-respect to be like, I'm not going to let this person talk to me this way because I don't deserve it, that's another way that you stop caring about what other people think, because you care way more about what kind of energy that you're allowing into your life because you protect your energy so fiercely because that's your whole well-being. Like, I used to have really poor mental and emotional health, which also affects your physical health, because I had so much negative energy in my life. And once you realize how much that's affecting you and like what better quality of life that you have when you're cleaning up that energy, you stop letting the negative energy come into your life. And in the situations where you cannot eliminate it completely, you have those boundaries. So the short answer to how do I stop caring about what other people think of me is focus on yourself. Do you like you? Are you happy with your life? Do you feel good in your life? Are you living in integrity with your values? Are you being the best version of yourself that you can be at any given time? And that doesn't mean that you're perfect. It means that you're always learning and growing. And again, I just want to stress, it's okay to care about what other people think, but it's not okay to let other people's opinions dictate your life and well-being. So the short answer is focus on yourself. So let's get to question 2. How do I figure out what I actually want? And this is a very good question because I have a lot of people who come to me who have a similar background to myself, because I used to be a textbook people pleaser. I lived for everything outside of myself: society, family, school, corporate America, friends. I did not do anything for myself. I was always living for other people outside of myself. And so when I finally started doing the work on myself, I had to figure out what my true identity was. And again, it's a process. It's very highly individualized. But what I recommend is, because I feel like as an adult, we get wrapped up in adulting, which is fine. I mean, you have adult responsibilities that you need to take care of. There's nothing wrong with that. But my point is, we get disconnected from our true joy, because when you were a little kid, you had things that you did that really lit you up. Like, for instance, I loved to sing and dance and play pretend, and I would always put on like crazy makeup. Like, it was the 80s, so I had like blue eyeshadow and like all the crazy makeup stuff. But I just had things that really lit me up. But then as an adult, you work, you have errands, you clean, you have to make all these appointments to go to the doctor or whatever, and you get disconnected from that joy. But who says that you can't be happy being an adult just because you have these adult responsibilities? Because one of the best lessons that I've learned in my life, it's not black or white. It's not either or. It's not, oh, you have to be an adult so you can't do things that are fun and playful. No, you can be an adult and you can have that childlike fun and wonder. So if you truly don't know what you want and you're starting out on your journey of finding your true identity, the number one thing that I recommend, I practice this in my own life every single day, and I recommend this to all of my clients and pretty much anyone I could get this message to, so I'm telling it to you as well. Do at least one thing a day that brings you joy. And this doesn't have to be a whole production. So for example, my thing is surfing. And yes, that can be time consuming because between from door to door, like walking out the door to coming back, it takes about 2 hours. And I don't always have time for that. So for example, today I don't have time for that. But I love to dance. And most songs are only 3.5 minutes long. So even if the one thing is putting on a 3-minute song and dancing my heart out for 3 minutes, that's at least 3 minutes of joy. And when you are connected to that sense of joy, it's connecting you to your true self, and your true self is also very intuitive. So you will just trust me, trust the process. You will start understanding and discovering things that bring you joy. So, because I ask a lot of people well, what do you like to do for fun to incorporate into your day? And they don't even know because they're so disconnected from themselves. And so the next question I usually ask is, well, think back to when you were about 5 or 6 years old. What lit you up when you were 6 years old? And some people will remember, because I've had people be like, oh, I love to paint, I love to do this, I love to do that. And I'm like, perfect. You can do that for 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be time consuming. But I've had people who are so disconnected from who they really are tell me, I don't even remember what I did for fun when I was 6. And that's okay. So if that is you, this is what I recommend. I recommend moving your body. So whether that's having a dance party in the privacy of your own home, I think that works really well. Another thing that works really well is taking a mindful walk, which means do not bring your phone unless the only reason it's acceptable to bring your phone is if you have kids and there might be an emergency or something, but put it on airplane mode or whatever. And just really focus on the walk. If there's a tree, appreciate the beauty of the tree. What sounds do you hear? What sights do you see? I've done this so many times. I lived in this condo for 8 years. I take mindful walks every once in a while, and it's the same path because I live on a busy street, so I have to walk down the street to kind of get off and branch out to go other places. Every single time I do this, just walking down the street, and not only do I do this mindful walk, but I drive up and down the street all the time. So I've been up and down the street thousands of times. Every time I take a mindful walk, I see something or experience something I have never had before. And the whole purpose of this is to tap in to your intuition, because everybody is born with intuition, because that's who you really are. And I could do a whole different, this question is about finding who you really are and what makes you feel good. But I could do a whole separate thing on self-trust, because a lot of people who are disconnected from themselves also struggle with self-trust and making decisions because they're not tapped in to their intuition. So this is so good in so many ways, because your intuition is who you are, and all you have to do is plug into it. But some of us have become so disconnected from it. So moving your body is a great place to start. Again, having a dance party, going for a mindful walk, and just don't think about anything. And that's when all of the answers come. And I know this isn't being very grounded. I know I'm talking very esoteric, but just because I try to put things into grounded language so it makes sense. So this may not make sense, but trust the process, because It's kind of like, have you ever, because this used to happen to me when I worked in corporate America, like I would be struggling with a problem or a project or something, and then I would like take a shower or go surfing and go running, and like the answer would just appear. It's because you're in this flow state where your intuition or creative mind is able to take over from your logical analytical brain, and the answer just appears. So I don't know the science behind that, but it's the same concept, because when you're in this playful creative state, it allows you to come up with the answer that way. So it's the same kind of concept. I'm sure you've had the shower epiphany moment, because it always happens when you're in a place where you cannot write it down. But yes, so what was the question again? Did I answer it? How do I figure out what I actually want? Yes. So do one thing a day that brings you joy. And if you can't remember what brings you joy, think back to when you're 6. And if you still can't remember, just dance, move your body, go for a mindful walk. And again, this is a process, but things will start coming to you. And again, it's very nuanced. If someone specific was asking me this question, I could ask more follow-up questions to go into deeper detail, but since these are just general questions, that's a great place to start. And so the next question, oh yeah, this is a good one. How do I stop making money decisions from fear? And this is a good one, because another variation of that I get a lot is people have impulsive spending habits, meaning they spend money to get that dopamine hit to feel better, but it works the opposite way that they want to, because then afterwards they go down a guilt spiral about spending the money. But it's a related question, because I think that initial spending, that impulsive spending or self-soothing spending, is a fear-based decision, because it's wanting not to feel a certain way or to get out of a certain feeling. And I'm trying to think of a good way to explain this, because, and again, this is very general, because a lot of people ask me this and there's specific nuances, but the best way to describe this is this: there are 3 ways you can make a decision. There's obviously more, but for the purposes of this question, let's just talk about the 3 ways. One is fear-based. So let's talk about, say you want to make more money at work. And so there's 3 ways that you can make that decision. One is fear-based. So that would look like say you work in corporate America, that could look like spreading rumors about your peers. Like maybe everybody's up for a promotion, but there's only one spot. So you spread rumors about your peers so that they don't get the promotion. Or maybe you're terrified of getting laid off, because I know there's a lot of layoffs going around in corporate America right now, depending on when you're watching this. So maybe you're terrified of getting laid off. So you start sucking up to your boss or doing some kind of behaviors to prevent losing your job. And you can probably already tell those are not the best strategies to get a raise at work. But because you're in this fear-based mindset, it's kind of like a desperate scarcity mindset and behavior that go along with it. So there's fear-based, and then there is inspired action. So for example, another way to make this decision of wanting to get a pay raise at work is you could upskill. Like maybe you haven't upskilled in a while. Maybe there's new, like AI is really popular right now. So maybe there's a way you can use AI to make your job more efficient. So you really upskill and learn, and maybe you network and become part of some professional groups to like really make your experience a lot more robust. And then that puts you in a better position to get promoted or get a pay raise. And then a third decision could be, and this is what I always recommend, and this is the kind of work that I do with my clients, is be the kind of person who gets a pay raise at work. So this could actually look like quitting your corporate America job and starting your own business. Because, for example, I worked in corporate America for over 20 years, but it was so stifling and I hated it. And the funny thing is, there were signs. One of the signs, I had plateaued in my earnings and I really wasn't getting any significant pay increases or bonuses. And that was like a huge glaring sign, in addition to a bunch of other signs that I won't go into, that my time was done because I had outgrown that environment. I had outgrown that role. I had a vision of something else that I wanted to do, which was my inner glow coaching business that I do now. And as an entrepreneur, your earnings are limitless. Like there is no ceiling. There's also a lot of risk as well. But, I felt so boxed in corporate America, but I wanted to be the kind of person that could earn whatever I wanted without the limitations of corporate America. So I just created my own job. So, and that's why, because I do identity work with my clients, because when you are that person, then it starts to reprogram your limiting beliefs. Because to go back to the beginning, the reason you're making financial decisions out of fear is because of the limiting beliefs that you have. And I don't know what those are for everybody because it's very individual. But say your limiting belief is, I have to work really hard and hustle for money. And in corporate America, that's actually true because you're trading time for money and you're kind of caught up in the rat race. But as an entrepreneur, you have these ebbs and flows, and it can be scary and there are risks to that, but it also shows you that you can earn money when you're relaxing and having fun. So by doing that and having those habits and behaviors, at first you don't believe it because you still have that limiting belief of I have to hustle and earn and be productive to make money. But over time, you prove to yourself, because you are doing these things. So even though you don't believe it, you start seeing it and you're like, oh, I can make money while I'm on vacation. I can make money while I'm surfing. I can make money when I'm having fun and relaxing. So over time, because you are acting in accordance with the new belief, your subconscious mind actually starts believing that. So to override your limiting beliefs, all you have to do is be the person who believes something else. And it's not always easy, but the first step is always taking action. And that's why, if you're new to this channel, go watch some of my other videos, because there's always an action step at the end of the video, because information is just information. If you're gonna watch a video and then not do anything with it, it's not going to change your life. But if you actually start implementing these behaviors in your day-to-day life, it starts changing who you are, because you're changing your limiting beliefs, and then your subconscious is running on this new program of who you really are. So did I answer that question? How do I stop making money decisions from fear? Yes, I would say start making decisions from inspired action, or I highly, highly recommend making your decisions from the person who has the financial abundance that you want. Because, and here's another thing, if you desire something, and this is advanced level quantum physics, if you have the ability to desire something and imagine something, that is absolutely available for you, because you wouldn't even be able to imagine it or desire it if it wasn't available to you. So just the fact that you're thinking about it means it's available. All you have to do is step into that version of you who already has everything you desire. So I'm only going to do a few more questions. Let's do another money one. Why do I sabotage opportunities that could make me more money? So I don't know how deep I'm going to be able to go into this one, because this absolutely is tied to some kind of limiting belief that you have about money. So I'll give you a limiting belief from my personal experience. And actually, I'm trying to think, how do I sabotage? I'll give you a few examples. So from my personal experience, my mom would always say that rich people were sinful. And it came from a scarcity mindset because she believed there was only so much money to go around. So if one person has a bunch of money and this other person doesn't have a bunch of money, then that person is taking away from this person. But the truth is, money is abundant. Money is available to everyone, everywhere, in any amount. But for me, like I would always feel guilty about having a lot of money. And this was actually something I had to work on when my earnings surpassed my mom's earnings, because I felt so guilty about earning more than her because I didn't want her to think that about me. So that was something that I had to work on in my own life. And once I did that, my earnings were exponential. So it is crazy how much your limiting beliefs really contribute to your self-sabotaging. And also, I have a client, it's currently off menu. It's a abundance mindset program. I'm getting ready. Here's your sneak peek. This is another bonus of being spontaneous. I'm actually working on developing a new coaching program. It's expanding on this abundance mindset program because she is killing it. And so I know it works. So I want to roll out an even better program. So I'm getting ready to launch this new money and abundance mindset program that also has other benefits like being spontaneous and having dance parties in your kitchen. But where was I even going? Oh, but my client who's in my off menu program, she had a limiting belief that, well, if I have money, it just slips through my fingers. And then she started earning way more money. And then she had a limiting belief that like it wasn't safe to hold that money. So then we had to work on that. So there's also, what's it called? New levels, new devils. But my point is there's always some kind of limiting belief underneath that, because if you think if I have money, it's just going to slip through my fingers, guess what's going to happen when you have money? It's going to slip through your fingers. Or some people just think, well, I don't deserve a lot of money because they have very low self-worth. So if you believe that, you're not going to attract a lot of money. Because what I always tell people, and this is a good place to start, because again, if you're watching, I would love to be able to like reach through the screen and be able to detect your limiting beliefs, but I can't do that without a conversation. But a good place to start is treating money like a relationship. Because it is. Money isn't something that you earn and spend. It's something that you receive and circulate. And really start to think of it as a relationship. Like think of your friends. You have friends. Maybe you don't talk to them for a few months. Maybe you don't talk to them for a few weeks, but they kind of like ebb and flow. And then when you hang out, it's fun. And then, you kind of go your own ways for a while. It's like this flow of life. And that's exactly how money is. And when you treat and respect money like a relationship, because it really is a relationship, then you get in this energetic alignment with it. And it all comes down to your limiting beliefs and really getting clear about what your new beliefs are and proving to yourself and acting in accordance with these new beliefs and really having an abundance mindset. And, broke and abundance, it's not just about money. Although if you have a broke mindset, your bank account probably reflects that. But broke and abundance mindsets are way more than just money. So for example, time. If you have a broke mindset, you probably feel rushed for time, like there's never enough time. When you have an abundant mindset, you are unavailable for anything that wastes your time. Or if you have a broke mindset, you probably don't trust yourself to make decisions and you're always outsourcing opinions and decisions to other people. But when you have an abundant mindset, you trust yourself to make a decision. And even if it's not the right decision, you trust yourself to figure things out because you're the kind of person that can figure shit out no matter how difficult, scary, or even painful, because you are the kind of person that handles uncertainty. So do you see the difference? Like the broke mindset, like they don't take action because they don't have all the answers and they're too scared. But an abundance mindset is like, I will figure things out because I trust myself and I'm a badass MFer. You know what I mean? So my number one tip for not self-sabotaging, and with money beliefs, I will say with money limiting beliefs, it's a little bit easier because like to me, when I worked through my money limiting beliefs, it was really obvious to me what mine were. Like rich people are sinful, like I'm not worthy of money, whatever. But they always stem to like these other underlying limiting beliefs. But if you could even write out a list of your limiting beliefs about money, that would help a ton. And if you're not sure, then I actually have something that will help, and I'll tell you about it at the end. And for the last question, oh, this is a good one. How do I stop people pleasing without feeling guilty? Spoiler alert, you may always feel guilty. I never, ever tell people, I am going to show you how to stop people pleasing without feeling guilty. I always tell people, I am going to show you how to not people please, and I'm also going to show you how to feel safe in your body when you do feel the guilt. Because here's the thing, you are a human being. I am never going to tell you, don't feel this, don't feel that. If you feel this way, it's bad and you need to get rid of it immediately. No, we're not doing that. That's what causes anxiety and all this other mental health bullshit that's going on right now. We don't suppress our emotions anymore. If you feel guilty, that is okay. And I'm not going to get into people pleasing and setting boundaries. I have plenty of videos on that. Let's talk about if you feel guilt or any unpleasant emotion for that matter. This applies to anxiety, anger, any emotion that feels uncomfortable in your body and you feel the urge to like suppress it or numb it or get rid of it. Any of these feelings this applies to. I'm going to tell you two things. And if you are not new on this channel, this is not new information. If you are new, and you continue to watch my videos, you're going to hear me repeat this a gazillion times, but I only repeat things that I think are important. Number one is, I call it the 90-second anxiety slayer. And this is when you are emotionally triggered and it feels unsafe to be in your body. So what you're going to do, because it is a scientific fact, in these emotionally heightened moments, the physical sensations in your body only last for 90 seconds. The reason that they tend to last longer is because of the emotional story that you're telling yourself in your head. So for the next 90 seconds, get rid of the story. And I know that's easier said than done. What I do, I just tell myself it's only temporary. I can worry about it later, which technically is true because you do want to revisit the story and work through that, but you want to do it from a state that's not emotionally intense. You want to do it from a clear mind. So for 90 seconds, get rid of the story and then focus on the physical sensations in your body. So if you feel guilt, maybe it feels like a tight chest. So what I do, I put a hand on wherever I'm feeling my physical sensation. And then I also put a hand over my diaphragm and stomach area to make sure that I'm breathing, because that's also a very important part of this. And this exercise, I did not create this. A lot of therapists or coaches talk about this exercise, but what's unique to the way that I do it is I repeat to myself, I am safe in my body. I am safe in my body, because that is a fact. Your body doesn't feel safe because all these crazy emotions, but the truth is you are safe in your body. And adding on to that, I also, like if I'm at home, my home is a safe space. So I will look around as confirmation that I'm also physically safe. So I'm physically safe, I'm safe in my body, and I promise you, as long as you get rid of the story in your head, the physical sensations will go away in 90 seconds. So that is one way to feel safe in your body while feeling guilt or other unpleasant emotions. Another thing I recommend, because that's obviously like in an urgent situation where you're having an anxiety attack or like a very heightened emotion. But I highly, 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 highly recommend taking care of your nervous system on a daily basis. So whether that means grounding, taking a mindful walk, just doing check-ins and breathing, like treat your nervous system like a baby. If you had a baby, you would constantly be like, does it need its diaper changed? Does it need to eat? Does it need to sleep? What does it need? You should be doing that to yourself. And when you have that constant maintenance of regulating your nervous system, you trust yourself to feel safe in your body even when you're feeling unpleasant feelings, because it's okay to feel the way you feel. And when you repress your feelings or numb them or hide them, you're not transmuting them. You're just pushing them deep down, and then they're going to come out at a time that you probably don't find very pleasant. That's where emotional outbursts come from. That's where these Karens on the internet that are having temper tantrums, that's what that is. They have been suppressing their emotions, and now they're taking it out on some customer service person at the grocery store or some, innocent victim. So don't be that person. Be the person who trusts yourself to feel safe in your body while feeling your feelings. So I know that doesn't cover like setting boundaries and true people pleasing, but my point is it's okay to feel guilt when you're recovering from being a people pleaser. So I think I'm going to end there. I do have more questions, but let me know what you think of this. And if you enjoyed it, I will be doing more videos like this. And if you did enjoy it, drop a question in the comments, or always feel free to email me or send me a message. I may not respond directly, but it could end up on one of these videos. So I will see you next time.